All
You know
right,
what I'm
wait a
saying?
minute.
I don't eat. Let EB
Yes,
be free, right? This man
right.
has earned the job. He's earned the right to call plays without somebody looking over his shoulder, right? Ron, you do your thing. Let EB do his thing. And again, I think that it's going to be at least a respectable year just with that part alone. But no owner's going to come in and get rid of of a of a coach that's well respected. Now, what I do think, and what we all really think is going to happen or should happen, is that Eric Bieniemy is going to get a head coaching job somewhere, right?
Mhm.
Now, if that happens here, we'll see what happens with the ownership group, but not for 2000 and not for the 2023 season. It's
Mhm.
already been in place now. He's already started to make some moves. The whole not picking up Chase's option and stuff like that. That's Ron Rivera. That's Ron Rivera. If there was going to be some type of Ron Rivera is on the way out, he wouldn't have been standing up there on draft day making calls and everything like that. They would have dumbed that thing down. You know what I'm saying? It would have been a
Yeah.
Jason Wright, Martin Mayhew making the call, but it's Ron. You see Ron everywhere, holding up jerseys and everything like that. At least for this year, it's
Yeah.
Ron. It's still Ron's team.
It is.
I mean, read the room, read the nonverbals. Ron's not going anywhere, at least not this year. Now, with Eric Bieniemy and that defense that we just talked about, and Terry McLaurin and all that stuff, if they still have a losing season and they don't look respectable, well, then all bets are off. At that point, you're
Right.
just like, wow, this is like the fifth, sixth year now.
Right.
It's not working out, and you got EB sitting right there, right?
Yep.
So we'll see. The leash is at least a year. But this ain't no multiple year to figure things out. No, it's this year. It's
Right.
this year. It's this year.
Lou, thank you so much. I'm on a tight time schedule, but Lou, you know you're gonna come back on the show, right? You're gonna come
Hey,
back
I
whenever.
you know I can't say no to you. So whenever you want me, I'll come on.
I appreciate it, Lou. Thank you so very much for bringing your insight. We do have another one of our very special guests coming up. Don't say who it is, Lou. Shh. It's a secret. It's all a secret. So, Lou, thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you at rookie minicamp.
Yes, I'll see you on the 12th. Take care.
I'll see you on the 12th. All right. See you then, Lou.
All right.
Are you all feeling the vibe? Are you all catching the vibe that I was trying to give when I said we're gonna do a marathon show? We're gonna run through it all and talk about this year's draft Washington Commanders. So you all, this next guest, you all know that she's very, very special to me. I already gave you the she. So you already know it's a woman. All right. So you can go ahead and guess who it is. You can already guess who it is. Yes, it is. It's my Aunt Donna. It's not sports. It big sister Donna Hopkins, Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus, legendary sports broadcaster, covered the team in their Super Bowl years. Almost witnessed me jump through the glass at Monday Night Football when I thought Scott Turner was going to go away from running the ball. I almost lost it a little bit talking to Donna, and she's been here every step of the way and knows so much about this team. Hey, Aunt Donna, I know I just saw you on Saturday, but hey.
Hey, Candi, it's good to be with you tonight. You know, as you said, I was with this team when they were winning that stretch with Coach Gibbs, and went to some Super Bowls with them. So saw them in their glory days, and now in their struggle days, and hopefully that's turning around with the sale of this Commanders team when it happens.
Yes, yes, yes. Some days we don't know what's going on, Donna.
I know and the bottom line is life moves on. So until they put the ink on the paper, it's sign, seal, and deliver. You got to move on with this team, and we know that it's going to be sold. We just don't know when. But this team is moving on because we just got finished with the draft.
Yeah, we just got finished with the draft. Now we're going to jump right into questions. I saw a question come through. I can't grab it because the conversation is going so quickly. And all from Queen of Sports to OMG is D Hop. Just yes, it is. The real Donna Hopkins is here. And one of my great, wonderful colleagues and friends in the business. Donna, there was a question that came through and before it was Lake, and then you saw Lou, and now it's you. We talked a little bit about the tight end situation. I know there were some questions about why the team didn't draft a tight end, but what are your thoughts on the current tight end position on the team?
See, I talk to fans all the time about the situation, and a friend of mine, he's the guru of draft, and he said that this team needs a tight end. And I said, I know that Logan Thomas has been hurt over the years, but he was still healing come last year. So we haven't seen him 100% yet. And Logan Thomas is a true tight end. I mean, he's the real deal. And then they drafted guys last year. You got Bates, and I mean, you've got like 4 tight ends here in the house. That wasn't, even though you might want to replace Logan Thomas because of that salary that he has, you still are in pretty good shape as far as the tight ends. They had so many other positions that they needed to address versus tight end. And I know they're looking at, you're talking about a blocking tight end. Well, you got that. So I don't think that that's an area necessarily that they needed to jump out and grab right now, because offensive line, cornerback, linebacker, those were, to me, positions that they needed to concentrate on more so than a tight end. So I'm okay going into the season with the tight ends that they've got in the house.
Okay, great. And I feel the same way. I said, the Lake and I started chatting, but I know we were on a time crunch. It was, the tight ends weren't utilized. They weren't utilized.
Hey, Candi, let me just say this. How could they be utilized with Scott Turner as the offensive coordinator? Come on, be for real. I mean, this offense was so vanilla that nobody was used the way that they should be used. And now with Eric Bieniemy in-house, they are finally going to be able to utilize the tight ends, the running backs, the wide receivers. I think you're going to see a totally different offense. And looking back, I don't even think that you could kind of like say, okay, the tight ends, do we replace them? No, you don't replace them because you didn't use them because you didn't have an offensive coordinator. And everybody knows how I feel about that. I don't keep that no secret, because all the years that he was here, this team was not good as far as the offensive side of the ball. And they could have had Patrick Mahomes in here and they still wouldn't have been good with him calling the plays.
Yeah, that was rough. It was a rough. Things would be right here, and it was woo. It was rough. Now, here's a question that came in. You talked about just a moment ago about other positions of need. So there was a question, I believe, from Russ McCray, who said he's a big fan of yours, that there still seems to be a hole at linebacker. Is this a position not that big of a need, given the emphasis on the Buffalo nickel role? And I know you talked a lot about the traditional role of linebacker, Donna. You've talked to me about that and what that looks like and why it's still important. So what's your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, when you think about this Washington football team down through the years, they've always had strong linebacker play from the Joe Gibbs era on down the line. And that's an area that's been a hiccup for this team for a long time. They lost Hogan to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he was hurt for the whole season. And Jameson Davis, you saw him come on at the end of the season and play much better, but they still did not address bringing in a big time linebacker that could, as far as go against the run. The problem with the linebackers over the years is they have not been good as far as coverage of the run, and that's what you need as far as a run stopper. You got the defensive line up front already intact. So you work on the other positions moving back. Well, the linebacker position is just as important as those guys up front in order to be able to help the guys in the back as far as the cornerback position. So to me, that wasn't addressed, and they couldn't address every position in the draft. And the cornerback position was strong in the draft this year. Not so much the linebacker play, although there was some players in their linebacker. But don't get me started on Michael Parsons, because I wanted him last year, because if we had a Michael Parsons on this team, it would address all the problems at linebacker. We need that type of player at the linebacker position, a Michael Parsons. And they haven't had that type of player in a long time. Jameson Davis, this will be his 3rd year? So you're looking for some big things from him. He started, like I said, to come on a lot at the end of last season, played much better. And he's going to have even a bigger year come his third year. So that's a position to me they're going to have to be savvy at because they haven't addressed that right now. Who replaced Hogan? Nobody yet. So I don't know how they're going to address that situation. And it could be some players before the season comes that other teams let go.
Definitely. And I think another big topic, definitely what's going to happen at linebacker. And then everybody's been talking about Chase Young, the elephant in the room. So I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but I have to because they did pick up some defensive end. They did pick up an edge here and there. And of course, we went from, well, we don't have to make a decision on Chase's fifth-year option until May the 2nd. And then here we go the day before the draft. And it's like, well, not going to pick up his fifth-year option. Today, it becomes official that they are not picking up Chase Young's fifth-year option. Donna, what do you think about all of that and that overall defensive line as a result of what's going into this season?
Hey, Candi, you said nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. You're talking about the zoo in the room.
The zoo in the room.
Zoo.
I said I wasn't going to do it, but I said, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, but you know what? When you look at the situation with Chase Young, and if anybody has been in sports with injuries over the years, and you look at Duron Payne situation, they didn't pick up his year either. They didn't sign that big contract for him either. They basically said, man, you're going to have to show us that you can play. And he could play. But, I mean, he hadn't had his breakout year. So when Duron Payne basically said, and I'm one of those athletes that say, I'm going to show you. Because the thing about it is it's talk. You want to see action. You want to see players go out there and play. Well, Duron Payne did just that. Well, Chase Young has to do that too, because Chase Young has been injured. So why would the Washington Commanders pick up his fifth year? I wouldn't pick it up. So, and it's not saying that Chase Young is not a good player. I mean, he kind of played well in the few games that we saw him in at the end of the season, and we saw him at practice, and he was still favoring that leg a little bit. Wasn't confident in it yet. So I think that the more he played on it towards the end, he got a little more comfortable. But this has to be his breakout year, and this is the reason why the Commanders could not sign him either. He came in injured, knee problems already, where he had injury. So he got injured again, and I had a blown ACL, meniscus tear, and all of that. It takes time to come back from that. And will you be the same player? Not necessarily. You don't have too many Adrian Petersons that can come back and have the type of year that he had. So I understand the process, and people got to get out of their feelings. Even Chase has to get out of his feelings and remember that this is a business, as they constantly tell us, Candi. This is a business. Well, you've got to treat it like a business to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to come back and I'm going to prove to you should have picked up that fifth year, and I'm going to prove to you that you need to give me that big contract. But also, you got to talk about Sweat, who also will be in his last year. Who do you keep? Do you keep both, or do you let somebody go?
That's going to be something else, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you think about Sweat. You saw great flashes of him of oh man, if this guy really have this breakout year and whatever, you can see some great things with his play. But Chase has to just come back and put the noise, close his ears to all the noise, because people get all caught up on they didn't want me, they didn't sign me back. No, you got to come back and say, look, I deserve to be on this roster and I deserve to be paid. And if you think about Payne, Duron Payne, he was just quiet for the whole season and just did his job and played ball. He didn't talk. He didn't let the noise affect him. When we interviewed him, he wasn't mad about the situation. No. He just went out and played. And athletes will do that when they want to be paid instead of all caught up in the noise.
Definitely. This is going to be an interesting year for many different reasons, between the sale, this team overall, the play coming into this season. And I think it's going to be one to watch. It's going to be one to watch. And I think people you're going to get your money's worth out of this season, because there's so much riding on this season. Everybody's got to be successful.
Everybody. If we talked about Chase, everybody is on the hot seat come this year, because if you've got new owners, you better produce. That's from Ron Rivera. Be enemy is be enemy. So we know his play. And he came into a situation that the ownership was changing. But the other people that's been there, the Jack Del Rios, the Ron Riveras, other players as contracts that are coming to an end, they've got to play, because if they don't play, this new ownership coming in is going to make some house calls. And we know that it happens every time somebody buys a team. If it was my team and my money, I would be saying, I'm going to have everybody is going to be evaluated. So I'm going to be watching everybody's closely. My pen is going to be to the paper, and you better produce because they're not satisfied with the records that they had over the years. All the excuses need to be thrown out the window. I don't care about you didn't have a quarterback. I don't care about you didn't have an offensive coordinator. I don't care about any of those things. And the new ownership shouldn't either, because they want people to be able to produce, and they better have a winning record, and they better go to the playoffs this year, or you're going to see a lot of changes come next year.
Donna, that's how we go. That's how we gonna end your segment right there. That's it. Donna has dropped the mic on that one. Everybody better go to the playoffs. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to deal with it. It's playoffs or just get out of my office. Is what it sounds like to me.
Get out. It's been good, Candi, always.
Yes, as always. Donna, thank you so much.
Hey, Candi, let me just tell the fans, it's always good in the press box when we're sitting next to each other.
Sometimes I don't be doing too well. I be doing good for the most part, and then
I got to keep her off the cliff. I got to keep her off the cliff.
Go ahead and tell. It's fine. I want you to tell that. I have to stay away. I have to be like,
yeah, I gotta take that fan away from her and tell her, don't jump off the cliff.
Don't jump off the cliff. I'd be like, I gotta go.
You can stay on the edge, but just don't go over the cliff. And Candi, in leaving, this Washington Commanders team better stay on the edge and not tip over the cliff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Donna, I know you're going to be out of you're not gonna be at rookie camp. So
I'll be here for the rookie camp, but I won't be here for the veterans camp, because yours truly need a vacation.
Yes, absolutely you do. So I will see you next week at rookie camp.
Definitely.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
And this is Cortland Griffin, you all, from the 3-point conversion. I met Cortland at Combine, and Cortland and I started just talking about all of the picks, like literally each and every single one. Cortland is like a true draft analyst. And so I wanted Cortland to come on the show, because I know sometimes with the picks, it's a lot. It's a lot. And Cortland has such great knowledge of the players, each pick. So he already know what type of time it is with me. I said, listen, Cortland, you got to come and understand. And he's like, girl, I know these people. I know who these people are. You can sit there. I sat with Cortland. What was that, Cortland? On all of Friday and all of Sunday.
Man, yeah, the first 2 days of the combine.
Yeah, the first 2 days. Yeah.
You had the timeline wrong. We met at the Super Bowl, and
we've been at the Super Bowl.
Since.
Right. I'm sorry. Super Bowl is all running together. Super Bowl.
That's all right.
I am tripping. What is wrong with me, Cortland?
I'm sorry.
Right. I did meet you at the Super Bowl.
Look, I feel good. You had me on after D-Hop and after Lou Holden. Oh, you know, I'm in red air there. You know what I mean? I feel good.
You lit. And I was just like, let me get Cortland on. So you all hit the love button, fire emoji for Cortland, because he's going to go through these draft picks. He's going to give us some education on these draft picks. Right. So you all can get to know them a little bit more, know what their upsides are, strengths and weaknesses, areas of improvement, all of that. So Cortland, however you want to start, I think wherever you want to go with it, Emmanuel Forbes, whatever you want to do.
Let's start at the top. Yeah. I've heard you and Lou and everyone talking about, Christian Gonzalez and JPJ and all of those guys. But for all of the fans out here who are wondering who you're getting in Emmanuel Forbes, when I was at the Combine, right, we already know what laser times, and you see it on TV, right? Some of the, I'm telling y'all now, the NFL got to do better they got to do better because some of these guys are not getting their true times. I did hand times. Emmanuel Forbes ran a 4.23 by my hand time. That's fast. That's not a guy who's going to get blown by. And then when you look at his tape, his hips, he's loose, he's limber, he's long, and he's going to play in space. He's going to play well in space. He's a good zone coverage guy as well as a good man coverage guy. And Lou mentioned it, and also Lake mentioned it. This team wasn't very good with turnovers. This guy had 3 pick sixes just last year, 6 in his career. That's an FBS record. So that's what you're getting. And he's also a guy with excellent anticipation. We don't talk about that enough with DBs. He's a guy who can see the route before it happens. He jumps routes a lot. Now, one of the things that hopefully he, once he gets to the NFL, he can put on a little bit more weight. His frame can hold maybe 10, 15 more pounds, maybe get him up there to the 180s, 190s. But he's not a great tackler. So bigger receivers will be able to, kind of muscle him a little bit, but he holds his own. So it's not going to be, he's not going to be Deion Sanders. He's not going to make business decisions. He doesn't shy away from the contact. But he's not going to be the guy that comes up and lays the hat. But that goes to the next pick, Jartavius Martin, a guy who played alongside early pick Devin Witherspoon. I think people need to understand something. When you are talking about a guy who played next to a top 5 pick, top 10 pick at corner, he's on the island by himself and he held his own. He's also very versatile. We talked about Cameron Curl and some of the durability issues that Cam has had over the years, but this is a guy who played safety as well and had excellent production as well. So I think this is a guy who also plays more like a linebacker in the run game. He's amazing when he sifts through traffic. The way you see him, he uses his hands. He's got good punch, good. He stiffs out and keeps guys off his body. He gets through there really quickly. Hey, Kareem, how you doing? And so you're getting 2 guys to bolster that defensive secondary. Emmanuel Forbes on the other side of Benjamin St. Juste, who's been a standout since his rookie season. Nothing but rave reviews about that guy. And then you get Cam Curl, and then you add in Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin. It doesn't get better than this. I gave those first 2 picks A's, because I thought those were 2 guys that should have been picked way earlier than what they were, and this front office did a heck of a job. I do want to get into these 2 guys though. You guys talked about offensive line, and me and Candi, when we were sitting at the combine, we were talking about some of the guys that we thought, hey, this is a guy that they could target. This is a guy they should target. Rick Stromberg is an interesting prospect, to say the least. He's a guy with excellent versatility along the interior offensive line. He can play either guard spot, and he can also play center. But the great thing about this is he wasn't even touted as the best center in the draft, yet he was the best offensive lineman voted by the SEC, best offensive lineman. He got the best offensive lineman award as a center. And this is a guy who only played center for 1 season. This is the guy that you're getting. You're getting a hog up front. You're getting a guy with excellent versatility, but he should plug into that center spot and play pretty well. This also helps out your young guy, Sam Howell, right, who needs that Peyton Manning, Jeff Saturday kind of connection. The people talk about the tight end being a quarterback's best friend and the running game being a quarterback's best friend. When you have a center that you can mesh with and you can call signals and he's helping you with protection, it makes that quarterback's job way much easier, very easy. And Braden Daniels, he's a guy who's listed as a guard but can play tackle. Think Donald Penn, right? He has shorter arms, 33-inch arms, but Donald Penn played right tackle for 13 seasons in the NFL. Very productively, right? Back in 2016, he only allowed 1 sack, and Donald Penn did. So now you're getting Braden Daniels, who's cut from that same mold. Played interior offensive lineman, can kick outside to tackle. I think he can compete for one of those tackle positions. This is a guy who's very versatile. Don't feel like you didn't address a need. Believe me, your front office did their homework. Braden Daniels is just as much a tackle as he is an offensive lineman. So yes, and Ron Rivera, if you look at Ron Rivera's track record, when even in Carolina, he's very good at picking offensive linemen. For a defensive-minded coach, he's a very good offensive lineman evaluator. So this is a guy that you get. He has good squat. He's good in the zone run, which is going to help those running backs in the backfield, which we're going to get to one that you guys drafted in a couple of minutes. And so this is just a very interesting draft. I saw a lot of guys with a lot of versatility. It seemed like you guys, the Washington Commanders, emphasize versatility over talent wise. Not saying that these guys don't have talent, but versatility, having guys that can do and fit multiple roles and multiple schemes, I think was an amazing thing. Speaking of versatility, KJ Henry, you guys were talking about veteran leadership. Who's going to be the veteran in that locker room if you cut Kendall Fuller or Kyle Fuller? It could be KJ Henry. I love Cam, right? I don't think Cam is anything to scoff at. Like I said, I think he has the moxie and respect to lead that team. But KJ Henry, he's a team captain at Clemson. Now, you guys understand, being a team captain on teams like Michigan, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, that means something. That means you are a leader of men, because those are winning programs that have a lot of talent on them. So for you to be voted as a captain means a lot. He's a smart player, has leadership intangibles. Dabo Swinney had nothing but great reviews to say about this kid. At the ACC kickoff when we interviewed him, his parents, he's very big on respect. His parents are raised him right. So I think this is a guy who can come in. He's a Ron Rivera guy. And I love that for the Washington Commanders, because if you guys are looking for a leader to come in within the first 3 years and be that leader, this is your guy. He's a disruptive, lightning quick first step. He can play the run very well, high motor guy. And I think this defense needed that. When you got guys who are, I'm not going to say fragile, but have missed some time, you need that guy that can come in and give those guys breathers. And this also helps Chase be more effective, because you can take them out on certain downs and put KJ in and move guys around, and it helps with the scheme. So I really like the KJ Henry pick for sure. Chris Rodriguez Jr., I'm just going to run through him really quickly, right? 3-year starter at Kentucky. Powerful runner. He gets better as the game goes on. This is going to help those guys like Antonio Gibson and Robinson and the other running backs on this team. It's going to help those guys, because this is a guy who you can plug in on 4th down when it gets cold in Washington. And you got to play in those colder climates, and you don't want to keep running and pounding 1 or 2 guys. You got to have 3 or 4 guys to run through to run through teams. This is a guy that does it, gets better. He's a touchdown machine. He had 3 seasons where he had 9, 11, and 8 touchdowns in college in the SEC at Kentucky. that says something. He's running against some of the top defenses. So and he's durable. He's always available. Antonio Gibson has been kind of fragile over the last couple of seasons. This is a guy who's not going to miss a lot of time. This is a guy who's a power running back who doesn't miss a lot of time. And I'm going to give him some high praise here. Think a la Derrick Henry. The only thing that stopped Derrick Henry was a foot injury. This is that kind of guy. He's a power bell cow kind of back. I'm not going to say he's going to be Derrick Henry, but he's not going to miss a lot of time. He's going to be dependable. He's going to be there, and he's going to be productive. He's going to be very productive. I want to talk about their last pick, Andre Jones. He's a developmental guy. I think every team needs that 1 or 2 guys that you can come in and bring in and develop. And Andre Jones is that. He has all the tools to be a productive player in the NFL. He's long, he's rangy, he's strong. He can add a couple of pounds to his frame. And I think if you can't sign Montez Sweat this year or re-sign him, I think you can bring in Andre Jones and he can fill in that spot very well. They kind of cut from the same mold. And I love how he plays the game. He's raw, but he plays the game with a passion that you don't really see from a lot of early round picks, because they've depended on their talent so much. But this is a guy who was productive. He only had 2 years of production at Louisiana, but he was very productive in those seasons, 6.5 and 6 sacks at the college level. So this is a guy who I think Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio will have a lot of fun with because of his skill set.